This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 213, Building Financial Empathy, Part 2 by J.D. Roth of MoneyBoss.com. And I am Dan, your host here on the podcast, where we read to you from some of the best personal finance blogs on the planet. If you've got any topic requests for us, maybe an author or a subject you'd like to see covered, come visit oldpodcast.com and let us know. Hope everybody is having a good time and not too much stress getting ready for the holidays. Today's post is a continuation from yesterday. It's a two-parter, and if you haven't heard Tuesday's episode yet, that would be episode 212. You will probably want to start there before you get into today's. And that's it for the intro, so let's continue yesterday's post as we optimize your life. Building Financial Empathy, Part 2 by J.D. Roth of MoneyBoss.com. A mental exercise. There's another, less obvious way you can use financial empathy. In fact, it's one of my favorite mental exercises. Here's how it works. Whenever you encounter somebody with an interesting lifestyle, try to extrapolate what your life would be like in a similar situation, given your current financial resources and knowledge. Let me give you some examples of what I mean. Based on my current savings and spending, I am financially independent. I have a net worth of around $1.5 million, and I normally spend $36,000 per year. When I'm traveling the country in an RV, I spend more. JD's resources can support JD's lifestyle, but they can't support every lifestyle. Last year, while in Montana, Kim and I stopped to see some friends who have a high income and abundant savings. They live in a fancy new house on the banks of a river. They've got fancy furniture. They take fancy vacations. And after the visit, I tried to work out how much their lifestyle cost and how long my financial resources would support it if I were in their shoes. Answer? Not long. A few years at best. I did the same thing when we spent a day in downtown Chicago later in the summer. I loved the look and feel of the city and wondered what it would cost to live there. I looked up condo prices. A place in the Jetsons-like Marina City complex would cost about the same as my home in Portland. I noted grocery prices. I took into account I wouldn't need to own a car. I tried to imagine what my life in the Windy City would be like. Ultimately, I concluded it would probably cost a little more than what I spend in Portland, but that I'd still be financially independent. Of course, not every place is as expensive as downtown Chicago or the banks of a river in northern Montana. Recently, we spent a few days visiting my cousin Gwen in northeast Oklahoma. She and her family live on 100 acres they purchased for $110,000 in 2007. Because they're conservative Mennonites, they have what most would consider a simple or basic lifestyle. They grow much of their own food in a large vegetable garden. They raise goats and cows for milk and meat. They get their water from a mineral spring running through their backyard. They're not completely self-sufficient, but they do what they can to keep costs down. If I sold my condo in Portland, I could buy a similar creek near Tahlequah, build a house, and still have plenty of money left over from the sale of my home. Because cost of living is so low in rural Oklahoma, I could live like a king indefinitely. I wouldn't even have to watch my spending. I could buy the fanciest groceries, eat in the fanciest restaurants, and wear the fanciest clothes. There's almost no way I could exhaust my savings unless I started buying expensive sports cars or flying first class to Asia. When Kim and I fell in love with Lexington, Kentucky last month, we talked out loud about what it would be like to live there. We imagined living on a farm in the rolling green hills with horses and chickens and cats and dogs. The CNN cost of living calculator tells me that home prices in Lexington are half of what they are in Portland, and that overall cost of living is 30% lower. Very, very interesting. You don't have to travel across the United States to do this exercise. You can do it in your own hometown. You can do it by trying to put yourself in the place of people you know. When you visit with a friend who seems to handle money poorly, put yourself in his shoes. Imagine you have your current financial resources but otherwise lived his life. Could you afford it? What changes would you have to make in order to afford it? I believe mental exercises like this are invaluable. They not only help you explore other possible lifestyles, but they help you develop financial empathy. After putting yourself in your sister's shoes, you still might think she's making poor decisions, but at least she'll have a better appreciation for what she's experiencing. Building financial empathy. Financial empathy can be used in lots of other ways. For instance, I've noticed that people have a tendency to think that because they do something a certain way, everybody else can and should do it that way too. If their path to financial independence includes working 3 jobs, they think everyone should work 3 jobs. If they've elected to cut costs by living without a car, they think everybody should live without a car, and so on. When people don't do the same things they do, they judge them harshly. I don't like this attitude. It demonstrates a fundamental lack of financial empathy. I'm not saying that you should condone frivolous spending from family or friends. or that you shouldn't share and advocate for the methods that have helped you achieve financial success. But don't fall into the trap of thinking that yours is the only way, and don't let yourself think of others as stupid or weak when they make mistakes. When I was writing at Get Rich Slowly, my motto was, do what works for you. And by this I meant that there was no one right way to dig out of debt, buy a house, or fund retirement. Some strategies might be more effective than others, but that doesn't make them right. Dave Ramsey's version of the debt snowball is a fine example, not optimal from a mathematical perspective, but often the best choice from a psychological point of view. I believe do what works for you is also great advice when applied to early retirement and managing your life like a business. In the real world, no two businesses function in the same way. Similarly, no two money bosses will pursue financial independence in an identical fashion. My path to FI involved writing millions of words about money while purging half of my possessions. I'll bet yours is completely different. The bottom line, we'd all do well to heed the words of Atticus Finch. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Rather than rush to judgment, take time to consider things from other people's perspectives, financially and otherwise. Doing so will not only help you better understand your friends and family, but will also help you better understand yourself. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled Building Financial Empathy by J.D. Roth of MoneyBoss.com. And why not let us know what you think? You can comment on this post at oldpodcast.com, or you can get in contact with us there as well. And while you're there at the website, if you want some free spreadsheet tools from us, and if you want to be entered into book raffles that happen every month, just come by oldpodcast.com and enter your email address. It's a great way to show your support. You can also join by texting. You just text the word financial to the number 44222. That's text financial to 44222. Whichever way you do it is going to add you to our little weekly newsletter family, and you'll get your gifts right away. Plus, you'll be included in those raffles every month. One last time, visit oldpodcast.com and enter your email address or text financial to 44222. And that'll do it for the Wednesday show. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Malik, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Mark and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Finance Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.